In my previous video, I talked about the desire to get this paddle back and prepped by the time that ball bounces and the benefits for doing that. And generally, I will use the analogy of tennis players. If you watch pro tennis players, a ball's coming to their forehand, what they will do is throw their non-racket arm, hand out here, and start moving with their racket already back and prepped. Kind of for the same reason they want to get this racket back and prepped and be prepared by the time that ball gets to them. But I have never really demonstrated what that looks like for pickleball players. I've never really demonstrated this for pickleball, primarily because it's a lot of work. And when I demonstrate me hitting a ball, I'm usually hitting a bunch of them. So me envisioning I have to move several steps to go hit a ball, come back out of position, move several steps again to go hit another ball, I'm going, oh, that's a lot of work. I'm not sure I want to do that. But then I had somebody in the comments section for the previous video go, can you demonstrate what that looks like for pickleball? My first reaction was, no, that's too much work. I don't want to do that. But then I thought about it for a few minutes. I go, yeah, I probably need to do that for a couple of reasons. One is, as I coach people, I understand that there are many people who are visually oriented, meaning that they need to see something. So as I talk through hitting serves or ground strokes or overheads or volleys, I will generally set up the ball machine and I will get it going and feeding me some balls and go, here's what I want you to do. I'm trying to give them a visual for what I'm talking about. And for some people, they need that, and that makes more sense for them. So as I thought about this request, I went, yeah, I can probably do that. The second thing is there are a couple shots that come at us at weird angles or weird situations in the game that I've been wanting to talk about, but just haven't figured out a way to do it other than actually go and move and hit those balls. So this is an opportunity to talk about those. So that's what I'm going to do. Here's situation number one is we are returning serve or we're hitting a third shot. And in either of those cases, we're back on the baseline. The shot from our opponent's the serve or the return of serve comes over the net short and we have to move forward to go get this ball. So then the question is, can I move forward with this paddle prepped, get up to where I need to get to and hit this ball? So this is kind of a generic representation of where you would use this on shorter balls to move forward and get that paddle prepped early. All right, so let's mimic a time where I'm either returning serve, a really short serve, or I'm hitting a third shot, a really short return of serve. See if I can get my paddle prepped and get to that ball and hit it. I'm back on the baseline mimicking I'm returning serve or I am hitting a third shot. So if the serve comes in short, I've got to go forward and go get it. If the return serve comes over and short, I have to go get it. I'm going to try and move forward with my non-paddle hand out in front, gauging where this ball is, and have my paddle prepped at the same time while I'm moving. And the good thing about this is I don't want to hit that ball at its crest. If I will let it come over and bounce, it's a shorter ball, come up and crest and come down. I've given myself more time to get to that ball and hit it. If I feel like I have to hit that ball at its crest, I have to move further forward, which not good to hit it at its crest, which I think I've talked about before, but I've taken time away from myself. I feel like I'm in a big rush to go hit this ball at its high point after it bounces. If I will let that ball crest and come down, I've just given myself more time. I can be more relaxed. I can focus on this ball and hopefully hit it better. Here we go. I'm back on the baseline. Oh, it's a short ball. So I've got my paddle hand, my non-paddle hand out here in front, trying to feel where this ball is, letting that ball come down and not trying to hit it at its crest. I go, oh, that's short. Trying to have my paddle back and prepped while I'm moving. Go, oh, that's short. So I want to get this paddle back and prepped by the time that ball bounces, but still be able to move forward or to be able to move left or right. I want to get this paddle back and prepped, using my non-paddle hand to feel where this ball is and be comfortable letting this ball come down. That's what that looks like. That's just a generic way to, I think, hopefully demonstrate I've got to go get this ball and I want to be in this general position while I'm moving. So I want to be using this hand as my radar. Where's that ball coming down off of its high point? And where do I need to be on this court as I'm moving. And then if I can already have this paddle back while I'm moving, it's my homework's done. Everything I have to do now is just go forward with this ball and hit it well, because I'm already fully prepared, fully prepped, and I'm starting from this common starting position, which hopefully makes everything going forward a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more consistent when I swing. Situation number 2 I want to talk about, and this really doesn't have anything to do with paddle prep or mechanics at all. The situation is that ball is really short and we have to hustle, we have to run as hard as we can just to get our paddle on that ball. And there are cases where mechanics just go out the window. I talk a lot about mechanics and how you want to use those if you can get in the right position. There are times where we just have to do what we can do. I don't care about mechanics, I just want this ball to go back over the net. So if I'm so far back and they miss hit a ball, or they hit it well and it's really short and I'm not prepared, I have to hustle really hard, and I end up normally reaching as far as I can to get this ball. And what commonly or frequently happens is this ball goes in the net because it's difficult to get much lift on the ball and there's no swing left. So if I turn sideways to see this, I'm running forward to get to this ball and I'm reaching as far as I can. Now you can tell I don't have much swing left here that I can actually throw into this ball. And if I'm this far out, there's a good chance that I'm going to hit this ball weak and it's never going to go over the net. So as this happens to you, this is what I think as I'm doing this, is I see these balls coming and I'm hustling in here to get this ball. In my brain I'm going, this ball is not going to go over the net if I don't try to get under it more and get more lift on it. If I don't wait longer, so I'm not really trying to hit it up here, I'm just trying to get it maybe just off the ground so I can get under that ball and get more lift on it. But I'm trying to exaggerate or overcompensate for my lack of lift to get this ball up and over the net. So I'll try and demonstrate this. In a game then, it's probably not going to be a great shot going back over the net if I can get it back over the net. But that's better than me dumping this ball into the net. If you get in this situation in a game and you're running forward as quick as you can and this ball is just out at the end of your reach, try and think about, I need more lift. I need to get under that ball more. I need to either use some wrist or something to get this ball up and higher over that net than what I think I would normally need. So you need to overcompensate for that particular ball. Let's see if I can do this. And I'm going to be back behind this baseline. I'm going to try and get to that ball as late as I can. And you can tell if I'm reaching that far forward, I'm out at the end of my reach. I really don't have much else I can do to hit that ball well. So my mechanics go out the window. Just got to do what you can do and deal with the consequences afterwards. So if you can, rest the ball and flip it up a little bit higher and overcompensate for not being able to get that ball up and over the net. Oh, like that. So I'm trying to get these right out at the end of my reach. Oh. And those are just really hard to control. So forget about trying to have a good shot. Forget about trying to have good mechanics. Your only job, I think, in that case is I've got to get this ball up and over the net, and understanding it's going to be tough to do. If I'm reaching this far forward, I don't have any swing left. I may have to use my wrist and try and flip this up a little bit. And in some of those, when I was hitting, it was coming off the very tip of my paddle because I could just barely get there. So if I don't understand that in general this ball wants to go into the net, and I don't account for that, it's probably going to go into the net. Do everything you can to think about, I've got to get more lift on that ball than I think I really need. Third situation to take a look at is when we have to move backwards for whatever reason. We got caught out of position. My opponent's hit a really good shot. Maybe it's coming down to my feet and I don't feel like moving forward and taking it out of the air is a reasonable option. I feel better backing up. And so what does that look like? I would want to back up, still have this non-paddle hand out in front and my paddle back and prepared. And it's likely that I'm not going to be able to let this ball come up and crest and come down to where I want it. So I just have to do what I can do. But if I have my paddle already back and prepared, then I'm more able to pick the spot, the better spot where I want to hit that ball. Maybe not the ideal spot. So I'd be moving backwards, having this. I want to get stopped and stationary. If I can, before I start that forward swing. I don't want to still be moving backwards while I'm swinging, so I don't want to be doing this and moving backwards. Bad things happen if you're moving backwards and hitting a ball. Generally, they either go into the net because we're moving backwards, subtracting speed off of that, or we're leaning backwards, and now when we hit that ball, it's going up, and I just give my opponents a high ball, delaying the end of the point. So let's take a look at those. I'm in my ready position. I've got to back up, try and get stationary before I swing. Trying to have my paddle, I was ugly. Trying to have my paddle back and prepared all the time I'm moving, so I can get back and get stationary and then move forward with my paddle. It's going to be way more predictable. Still my non-paddle hand out here in front. Move up a little bit more. All right, so, oh, I think I was moving a little bit still when I hit that ball. Move in a little bit. Here we go. Try this. Oh, I got to move back. Try and get stationary and then swing forward. So still using my non-paddle hand here to come. Oh, that was better. Tell me where that ball is. It wasn't a great shot. So trying to have my paddle back, hand out in front, and then by the time that I get stationary, all of my homework's done. Everything, I was moving back a little bit there. That's kind of the point though. So moving backwards, still using this. Tell me where the ball is, still having this back and ready to go. If I can beat the ball to the spot where I want to hit it and get stationary, go forward, that's a much better situation than still moving backwards. So then if I find that I'm moving backwards, my question right after that point is, did I hustle hard enough to get there before the ball? And it's a question of how fast do you want to move. We can't always beat the ball to the spot, nobody can. But there are times where I see people not put in enough effort, and I think if you'd moved a little quicker, you could have been in a better position when you hit that ball. Situation number 4. I think the first 3 were kind of generic, right? So if I've got to move forward, got my hand out there, got my paddle prepped, or if it's a short ball, I can't do much. If I've got to back up, same thing, my hand's out here and my paddle's back and prepared. This 4th situation is where this ball's coming at an angle across the court. So my opponent off on this side has hit this angled ball that now I have to move laterally to go get. The interesting thing I think about this ball is it's a bit of an optical illusion. So as this ball comes across at this angle, and say I'm here or I'm back on this baseline and this ball is coming across on this angle, I think the general tendency is to go, all right, I'm in good shape here, but the reality is this ball's still going away. And what I need to do and what I ask people to do is take an extra half step over, a half step more than you think that you need to account for this ball going away. So as this ball's coming in, optically it looks like it's going to hit my hand here. But what happens is this ball's still going over here and the ball ends up being here instead of where it looks like it's going to be. And if I would take that half step over, then I would be in a much better position to hit this ball. Let's see if we can see what that looks like. All right, so I need to move laterally. I need to move more than I think that I need to. So I need to take that half step over to get all the way out there to hit that ball. So still paddle back and prepped, and my hand's out in front of this ball. I have to take, now if I don't go all the way over, what ends up happening is it tends to be too far over because I didn't account for that angle, taking that ball further and further away from me the closer it gets. So again, just when this ball's coming on this angle, I need to take that extra half step to get further over so that I can hit that ball well. If I don't, so here it looks like it's going to be here, but it's like that ball's too wide now by the time it gets back to where I'm hitting. If I don't take that half step over, and that was stupid, that looked bad. And it was bad. All right, so try and think about this as these balls come on this big angle is I'm trying to move laterally, keeping my left hand out here as a guide. So it helps tell me where that ball is. I need to get further that way than I think that I need to. Paddle's already back and prepped. If I can get over there and crowd this ball, I can still use my vertical paddle. I'll try and get there a little bit later on that one. I can still use my vertical paddle and not have to swing out her sidearm I think that's less consistent. I didn't hit that bat on purpose. Or who knows, maybe I did. All right, so this ball comes on this angle. I didn't get far enough over on that one. So I think that ball's an optical illusion because we're used to these balls coming straighter at us and not at that big of an angle from that far back. So this ball comes cross court. If I recognize that mentally and ahead of time I go, I need to be a half step over, and I can think about times where I didn't get over and I don't hit that ball well, and my first thought is, man, you didn't move your feet enough, you didn't get over, you didn't hustle hard enough to get to where you knew you needed to be to. You got a little bit lazy, and the problem's not in the swing, the problem's in the feet for those situations. So I talk a lot about mechanics. Here are the optimal mechanics. You can't always use those, but if you can hustle and get where you need to get to, then those mechanics work really well. If you don't and you're out of position, your mechanics go out the window and you just do what you can do. We all have to do that at some point. So this is true on this angled shot on both sides. I'm not going to demonstrate the backhand side, but the same thing would be true. I'm over on that side of the court because I'm a righty. That's my backhand. My opponent over here hits this heavily angled shot. I need to understand up front, I've got to be further over laterally than my brain tells me that I need to, because this ball looks like it's going to be where I need it to be when it's right here in front of me. And it feels like it's going to be right here, but it's not coming straight here. It's still going this way. I've got to get over. Same thing on the forehand side. This ball's coming in my hands here. It looks like it's going to be good, but it's still going away. I need to get half a step at least, depending on the angle. So this left hand non-paddle hand can help. So while I said it looks like it's here, but I'm not aligned right, so if I get over here, then that ball would actually hit my hand because it's still going off on this angle. Try and move with your paddle already prepared. Think of it as when you're back in school and you had homework and a test the next day. So my preparation, getting my paddle back is my homework. If I did that and I did that well, then the test is when I'm doing that forward swing on either side. That's the test. So if I've done my homework well, that test generally goes better. All right, I'm already breathing hard and I didn't really move that much. I hope that was helpful. If you have any other questions, throw them down in the comments section. Appreciate you watching. Thanks for doing that. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. I would appreciate it. Thanks.